Maybe recommendation for all the risk takers and misfits out there. It's never too early to start. We at Inheaden, our vision which unifies us, aligns the team, is we want to empower ideas. And we believe ideas can come from anywhere. Our mission is to master software. Considering as well, if you start early, it's good because you have a lot of time, but you will need this time because usually no network, nothing you can rely on. Entering the startup scene is a complete new world. If you form teams, if you build teams, invest time, that's your team as a founder is your biggest asset. Especially in the role being a CEO, is you're only as strong, as good as your team is.
Yeah.
It's very important to form a mindset by surrounding yourself maybe with people who are not your age, who do not have your background, not your culture, and learn from them, interact with them, and that is how we grow, and that is how we go out of our comfort zone.
Welcome to the Sandpit Startups podcast, where we journey into the minds of the brightest and the best founders the region has to offer. We're here to connect the entrepreneurs in the studio with the entrepreneurs listening at home, and we sincerely hope the next half an hour or so educates, motivates, or inspires you. And if it does, you know what the follow button is.
Today we are joined by Dennis Kohl, the founder and CEO of Inheaden, based in Darmstadt, Germany. They have a very unique concept of the tech angel or venture studio in this part of the world it's popularly known as. Today we will dive deep into the intricacies that takes place in the venture studio or tech angel concept, and be ready for this interesting conversation with Dennis here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. A big pleasure being here today. I'm excited to listen to your questions.
As are we, but from the opposite side of the table.
So the interesting part which always got me hooked when you mentioned that you have a tech angel concept. So we know about the angels, which are business angels who invest through money, through cash, through equity. How does the tech angel concept differ from that, and what does Inheaden do with it?
How we came up with the concept was actually not very planned. If you look back to business angels, later than VCs, venture capital firms, that is a concept which is well known in the US for a while as well. Like looking back, everyone has probably seen the Apple movie. So 50 years, even maybe more. For us, it was more coming from an urge where we had in the early stages our network, obviously more in the younger crowd, people who wanted to start businesses, and of course they usually do not have the money to spend on technology and not the knowledge to do it themselves. Therefore, we had to find a solution where we have a win-win for both, and that is then usually how it happened is, they cannot pay us right now with fiat, with money in any way. So what else? How else could they pay us? Of course, equity. We bet on the same idea and say, the payback is going to come later. Therefore, we started to offer young entrepreneurs, people who have ideas, to support them. And in return, we have a mixed deal. I would say one of our biggest USPs at Inheaden is the way how we do business. There's not the one template we follow to do business.
Okay.
We will go ahead, see what are the options, what are possible solutions. And most often it is a deal where we say, you get what you need, and we will get partially equity and partially you pay resources, which is usually the best deal for the founders.
And with the tech aspect, right? So I understand if you're just helping them with the tech or also the MVP building process, because there's a lot of things in between that an entrepreneur needs to go through. And it's not easy to do it alone if you don't have a CTO per se. And CTO, it's a very difficult talent to find because they'll probably be in certain industries with high paying jobs. To convince them to leave that and be part of a startup is challenging in itself. So do you plug that gap by some shape or form?
Actually, that is the market needs. To find the right CTO is a huge challenge. I would say almost in all regions. It's a across the world problem. Finding the right CTO, because either you have very good tech engineers, software developers who are missing the big picture, but then if you look for the soft skills for the position as a CTO, you have to bring a little bit more than only tech knowledge. And yeah, this gap we want to fill. It's not one single person who can do that. It's an entire team where we really take ideas from day one until launch. That brings me as well to our vision at Inheaden. We at Inheaden, our vision, which unifies us, aligns the team, is we want to empower ideas. And we believe ideas can come from anywhere. And therefore, we have a team, different domains we call them, who really work on these ideas, starting from strategy to user experience, design thinking, prototyping, then handing over to the actual, what most people consider the CTO, to the software development domain, who are actually executing it. And then later on, we can run it with our IT operations, who monitor, run, and operate the software products with the startups together. So there's an entire team to build great products. And this gap of the CTO and every work which comes along with the position of the CTO, we want to be like, we want to cover. That is our goal with the startups.
We're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsor, Middle East Advisory Partners, top-tier advisors servicing the owner-managed, family-run, and SME sector. Here's Paul Donnelly to give you the tip of the episode.
Manage finances wisely. This involves not only tracking income and expenses, but also forecasting future financial needs. Understand the difference between fixed and variable costs and maintain a cash reserve for emergencies or unexpected expenses.
If you'd like an experienced advisor on your team, reach them at me-advisorypartners.com. That's awesome. I mean, it's from what I can hear, it's high risk, high reward for you because you're taking equity, you're not really charging much of a fee, if at all in some cases. How are you like walking that line? Because obviously if it does go wrong, it can be quite costly for you guys, but you've obviously been able to do it correct until now.
Yes, we had our learnings over the past 3 years. Obviously, not all startups will make it. But again, I truly believe that teams still can make it if they pivot, change the idea, if the team is good. However, yeah, obviously, sometimes it doesn't work out, but therefore we have now started due diligence, as VCs are doing them, to minimize a little bit this risk. But the concept we still follow is a mixed deal between like being in HR cloud. Is there a good example? So from the cloud, we know you pay as you go. So you pay for what you use in the cloud.
Right.
And in the HR cloud, which Inheaden is offering, you take a concept where you technically pay resources as you would pay them on your payroll. So all the margin, all the overhead and everything kind of is gone. Therefore, we take equity, where we follow usually the lead investor's valuation of a startup. And on the other hand, we have then the team working on the projects, but not on a fixed payroll. So one dangerous factor for startups are fixed costs, which is going to kill them because it's all about the runway.
Right.
And to help them massively is to help them reduce their fixed costs. And working with us, you have the same costs. In the past, usually people want to hire because it's cheaper in the long run, right? It's you have the team and you don't, and it's cheaper than buying from or outsourcing it. Now we gave them the option to have the same costs, but you can turn on and off the costs. You switch them on if needed. You have a graphic designer if needed, an illustrator, a UX UI designer, a front-end developer, mobile developer, back-end developer, whatever you need, and you switch them off the moment you don't need them anymore. And that helps them massively to expand their runway.
So it's flexible.
Yes.
Awesome. So because you're doing your due diligence, what are some of the sort of like determining factors that you're looking for in these startups or even the founders themselves?
Of course, we follow their, I think the common way of a due diligence. We don't do anything special. But I think what the one most important factor is, as you probably know, is the team. Since we invest in pre-seed, seed stage startups, it's all about the team, the founder. And based on our learnings, founding teams, which are more than one person, are more successful than solo founders. And these factors, of course, play then a little bit a role. How far have they come already? Do they have letter of intents already signed? Do they have like some convertible loan agreements already signed up? A round coming up, which they technically closed. We had cases where they had to deliver a certain set of features and then they were able to close a round. So we even are able to go into the risk when we know, okay, the reward is coming. You can see it on the horizon. We help you get there. You don't pay us, and then we come on board. And once you have the money, we will see how we continue.
Interesting. A lot of creative ways that you can really diminish the risk.
Yeah. And you touched upon team. You invest in teams that you believe in. I'll take the question and flip it a bit. How did you form your own team? Because I'm sure there will be a few people who have this idea. You might have created your own Avengers per se to lead Inheaden. Could you take us through that journey?
Yes, I think it was the longest journey so far at Inheaden, because I have started in 2017 to different than other startups. They usually have an idea and then they form a team. Inheaden started with forming a team, finding an idea. It's the other way around. So I started very early during my studies to get into the startup scene in Darmstadt, which was just about to start. Today, I think we are 6 years later, we are doing way better. And to build the team is I think the most important first task you have to somehow manage. And I was lucky because I started very early. To build a team with people who are not very committed, who are most likely studying as well. They have like no full-time job. They have no high cost. They have no family commitments yet, kids, etc. So that was the right moment for me to start and form a team. Being bootstrapped, that is another factor which plays a role. It can go very different, very quick if you say, okay, I want to go into fundraising. We are like 3 people, we have track record, very different story. Bootstrapping, if you start early, smart decision. And then we went, I kind of hosted my first Inheaden. It wasn't called Inheaden back then, it was Project Unknown. Project Unknown, yes, was the first event I hosted, where I have invited people from my school, from university, friends, where I spoke about ideas and what we could do, and that I actually don't want to like work now for anyone. Like, let's start something. We have smart brains here. And it was in a friend's shisha bar, actually, which I asked him to give me on a Sunday. And he had like a screen where they usually watch football. And I presented there my presentation. However, everyone who was there is not there anymore. But that was how I started. It was 25 people were invited. But later on, it was a journey. Like, people came, people left. It was an open community where we just brainstormed ideas. Then over 3 years, it took me 3 years until we incorporated finally Inheaden in 2020. Together with my co-founders Lars Krüber, our CTO, who I got to know through a flyer I put out at his university in Frankfurt. I created I would call them today ugly flyers with all buzzwords you can think of, from blockchain over AI, and the thing which caught his attention was fire safety, because my idea back then was to build a platform which is very smart and intelligent and evacuates the crowd out of a building away from the danger. And this together with AI, blockchain, and fire safety, like, he was, what the he sent me an email, and I invited him to Darmstadt over. It's a 20 minutes ride. And yeah, that's how I met the CTO. And later on our first summer party, then 2019, our CIO, I got to know. And yeah, then in the same year, in 2018 as well, Magnar, our CDO and co-founder, who brought Inheaden's visuals, logos, design just to the next level.
Nice. And these were like different timelines. It's not that you had all of the team members at once. It was transitioning from one member, another member, and so on.
At least twice we transitioned the team completely until I found the core team people I needed to get started, which took me 3 years. And it was, I think, one of the most important tasks, which took as well a lot of time. Considering as well, if you start early, it's good because you have a lot of time, but you will need this time because you have usually no network, nothing you can rely on. Entering the startup scene is a complete new world. So you need time to find yourself in there somehow, connect to people. Networking takes time.
We're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsor, Inheaden.
Hey there, visionaries and dream chasers. Meet Inheaden, your ultimate partner in turning your visions into digital realities. They are not just another ID company. They are your growth partners, a tech angel invested in your success. Looking to expand your business or create an unforgettable user experience? Inheaden has your back. With optimized software development, cutting-edge design, and a blend of in-depth research and marketing, they are here to help you empower your ideas. Curious? Head over to inheaden.io. That's INHEADEN.io. And the details to get started with your dream project today. Dream, empower, inspire. Inheaden.
Yeah, naturally. That's the nature of it. What are the core features from these team members that you were sort of like realizing in them over this time that you were meeting them? Like what was it that caused you guys to sort of gravitate to each other?
I think everyone had their own strength. We are very different from each other and still get along very, very well. But not just like I would say in the entire team. We have a good team spirit, and it was for us always about the passion we have for what we do. It was we never did things for the money. So we were working technically on ideas and projects over 2 years. We met every Monday, like checked in, tried something out. It was kind of, the passion which brought us together. And then we saw, okay, if we combine this, which is coming back to software products, which is our mission is to master software. That is what we want to do, to master software or technology. And to build the greatest software products, which are really bringing an impact to the market, you need more than just a software developer. And then we saw if we combine our strengths, we have a very, very strong founding team, which technically every founding team needs somehow. And then we started to get in touch with other startups and help them first before we actually want to start implementing our own ideas, own products.
Okay.
What kind of happens when a startup, maybe they move into more like a scale up stage? Do you and maybe they start to want to build their own in-house team? Like, do you support
building teams for our startups? Is then the first step is to get the MVP launched. The prototype, if possible, together with a nice fundraising pitch deck. So you get a pre-seed funding, or you can manage your family and friends round because you will need some money, cloud resources, website hosting, some money you need for the running costs, even bank accounts. So the next step is then to build somehow a very minimalistic prototype, something which is convincing people to invest into your idea, and that's way easier if you can visualize what your plan is, what your idea is. And very common Figma prototype helps massively, or Adobe XD or something. Prototype helps massively. So that's the first stage. And after this, we try to get the funding done together somehow. And after this, we build the MVP. And once we have the MVP, we should start to make money as soon as possible. If you're not able to make money in 1 year,
it's not a good idea.
No, don't leave it. Another learning is fail fast.
Yes.
Better fail fast than drag it along for too long. Like focus, make a pivot, change the idea, do something.
Yeah.
If you don't make money, it's a very bad sign. Let's imagine we start to make money. Perfect. So we see there is somehow a value add we bring to the table. We have the proof of value. We can actually plan a seed round.
Okay.
And at this stage, we start to build up teams as well together with the startup. So we integrate, we even try to support in the hiring process because us as an investor, it's not our only interest to make the, as a software supplier, your main interest is to make the client dependent on you, right? You want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
As an investor, you really want that the team runs. You don't want to spend time to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our interest as a tech angel is the same. We don't want to work with you to make money. We want to enable you to run on your own.
Right.
So it's in our interest to build a very good team together with the startup, which will take over the implementation. At some point, maybe a team lead, a dev lead, and maybe later, if the numbers are right and we find the right match, to get the CTO, and then get more into the role of a CTO mentor in our role as Inheaden after 3 to 5 years. And after 5-6 years, we really want to see ourselves in a investor-only position, still responsible for questions and topics around tech. But yeah, we are highly interested in enabling these startups to become independent.
A question from my end would be, as you're holding their hand from the idea stage all the way to the pre-seed, the seed, I don't know if you go until Series A also for certain startups, but as an external investor or as a founder, a question would be about IP, because you're developing the tech. So is there a way that you share it with the investors and it becomes part of the company, or you transfer it, like a technology transfer? How would it work?
The IP is then like with the startups, right? Because that is a red flag for most investors.
Exactly.
But since we are the startup, right? We are invested. We usually hold pre-seed seed rounds in between 5 to 25% of the startup.
Yeah.
So it is of course our IP. We are the team for the startup. So the IP is transferred to the startup.
In the later stages.
Even like in the initial stages.
Okay.
It is
Makes
like,
sense.
yeah. Of course, there are always things, open source technologies where we cannot transfer IPs or anything.
Yeah.
But these things, everything we do where we have IP rights, they are going to be transferred to the startup.
Yeah, interesting. So like, because you guys have such a great track record of building these products and working with many successful teams and things like that, and obviously throughout that journey, you've like had projects funded. Do you guys have any weight in terms of like bringing investors to the table, that potentially like investors that are just excited to work with you guys again, regardless of?
That's our plan.
Yeah.
We want to work closer with investors, closer with VCs. We're still building our track record. I spoke about like we want to leave the hands-on position after 5-6 years.
Yeah.
We are not we haven't reached that stage yet, right? We are in our 3rd year. I said we incorporated beginning of 2020. We're now in our 3rd year, about to start our 4th year. But our intention is build track record and make Inheaden software quality seal for fast, promising startups. Yeah, that's the way to go for us.
Cool. I just assumed already because of how well you're doing so far. So,
But you are doing well, right? Because now you have moved from just being in Germany. Now you're in Dubai, UAE. You also have presence now in Bangalore, India. So there are many things cooking. So what's going on?
Yes, we started in 2020 in Germany, headquartered in Darmstadt.
Yeah.
Darmstadt is the tech hotspot, I would say, in Germany.
Okay.
A little bit not as well known as Frankfurt, but very close to Frankfurt. You could call it maybe the Bangalore from Germany. But of course, as we scale, we saw that we need talent, and we do not want to limit just our talent pool we can hire from, we can build teams from the German market, because that's again very limited, and as many other countries as well, to find great outstanding software engineers, software developers is a big challenge. We don't want to rely on just German talent, so we decided very fast we have to, if we want to stay scalable, take new projects on, new startups to support them, we need to somehow grow to other regions to open our talent pool further. Even though we work with people as well in remote positions, so it's not everyone coming to the office. We decided then in 2020, okay, we have plans to scale it to India. How do we do it the best? Like if we are in India, it's a great country. I think now largest population worldwide, with as well one of the youngest populations worldwide. So huge, massive talent pool, very intelligent people, smart people. Even at our universities, we have many people from India and Germany. So obviously, Bangalore is for us the place to be as a tech company. And started in 2021 then to look for a managing director, which I have found then. Sunil Kumar is our director of operations Asia. On top, if we are running in Asia, we thought, okay, we need a market. India in itself is probably not our market to go. So we were looking towards the Middle East. I have been several times before as well to Dubai. And yeah, I think it was a great choice to then decide on top of India to come to Dubai, because here innovation is happening. In Middle East, a lot of things are happening. A lot of, obviously, capital is here as well. You can find and support. So we thought that's a great idea to scale towards East, take India as a talent pool, which we can work with, and take the UAE as a great market to expand and maybe even participate in the growth of the startup scene here.
Yeah. So from an external perspective, from Europe, right, you do see that Dubai has, or rather UAE has the potential in terms of the startup scalability. There is a lot of capital. Even the neighboring countries has a lot of population also. So if we see cumulatively, there is a big enough market for any startup to even start something here from abroad or expand to this region. And how do you see probably Inheaden's next steps in being that glue, being that adhesive for the startup community here?
Since we are here in Dubai, I think around about a year, maybe a little bit more, 1.5 years, back to the roots, networking.
That's where it all begins.
And yeah, that is what we have done. That is what we are doing. I believe that the region, if you compare it now to Europe again, if you see the UAE, it's one country in a region, but you don't think about like in Europe just about Germany, right? You have a European market, the US as well. You don't just think about one state. You see it as like a entire region, the US or even North America market, Canada, US. And if you see it here in the same way, it's the same thing again. If you see Middle East can be a great market for all startup ideas. If you now only focus on, let's say, Dubai, of course it's difficult. If you want to scale B2C solutions, we have here a few million people. It's not enough to scale, let's say, a social media or something idea. There you really have to focus then on, you have to see that you get the users, consumers on the platform. But I think as well in Dubai and in the UAE, a lot of incentives are coming. More is going to happen. It's just about to start, I feel.
Okay, it's still nascent, you feel?
Yes, it is still building up. It feels a little bit maybe back in 2017, 18 in Darmstadt. There was not much happening. We have not even had an event. You at least here have, I have been to the GITEX and other events. So things are happening. It's as well like seeing it globally, a good like stage where you can be seen from the world.
Right.
It's very well known. So I think to start here is definitely a good choice.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, this region has been helpful for us,
Yeah, for
particularly,
sure.
and a lot of the guests that we've spoken to, absolutely. But do you sort of, I suppose, like coming over from Germany, do you see this market, and particularly India, as well differently from a tech perspective? There like different ideas arising from these different locations.
Yeah, in some things, I would definitely say the UAE or Asia as well are ahead of things we do
really?
in Europe. Yeah, if you think about even to make a more convenient life, grocery delivery apps or something was never there before COVID. It just started after or in during COVID. These things you had here, I think, Talabat, etc.
Yeah.
A long time back, a few more years for sure. But yeah, I think you have different challenges here. The environment you're in here, Sandpits,
Yeah.
startup, right? So you have a lot of opportunities with the weather you can use here. So I think different ideas can appear here, which would never appear maybe in more northern countries, Europe.
Yeah, my friends in the UK don't believe we have one app that does everything. They're like, wait, what? It does your laundry and your bills, and you can get a taxi.
And food delivery.
Yeah, and food
Same
delivery.
It's a super app here.
So Dennis, we're running out of time here. Just as a final sort of bit of value for the viewers, do you have any sort of like final nugget of knowledge for them?
Being brave enough for all the rule breakers, risk takers out there. It's not too early to start. Never too early to start. It's very important to form a mindset by surrounding yourself maybe with people who are not your age, people who do not have your background, not your culture, people who do not speak your language, learn from them, people even who are not from your society class, and learn from them, interact with them, and that is how we grow, and that is how we go out of our comfort zone. If you form teams, if you build teams, invest time, that's your team as a founder is your biggest asset you have. You're only as strong, as good as your team is.
Yeah.
And once you realize that your job, especially in the role being a CEO, is to enable your team, to go, to unify it, to align it under one umbrella, under one vision. And once you have achieved this, the team will run with you. And yeah, that's, I think, the one message. Once you realize that, you can work with them as well on like the vision, transfer ownership, and yeah, there is no reason why it should not work out. Maybe the idea does not work out, but the team can.
So despite being a tech episode, it's been very people-focused, people-centric. It just speaks volumes about how you guys operate. So
It's, yeah, people first. Tech will follow. As well, if we build product, it's coming from the user experience, which we learned heavily. We got input from, of course, our CDO, Magna. Putting the user in the center is how to build products.
Yes.
And the user experience should come first. Technology is following. Don't see what technology can bring us, see what we need, and let technology go that direction.
For sure.
I know we're wrapping up here, but I'd love to ask about how do you put the user in the center? What kind of questions are you asking yourself surrounding a user-centric approach?
We really believe that before you execute an idea, you have to have like certain questions answered. You should make a technical check if something is, of course, possible if you have an idea. But then forget about all technology you have heard about, you have seen, and see, okay, what is it actually? What is the problem here which you want to solve? And how does the solution look like for the user? And not take, I don't know, ChatGPT and think, okay, what can we do now with that? It's a new technology which we are heavily, of course, interested in as well. That's not the point. Large language models will change the way how our workdays look like. But if you develop an idea, look like how does it help the user? What does the user here want?
Right.
Or and then see how the product must look like.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Dennis. It's
Yes,
been an
you're
absolute
welcome.
pleasure.
It has been.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me here today.
Our pleasure.